All right, everybody, welcome. It is Monday, February 5th, 2018. This is the Kubernetes 1.10 release team Burndown meeting. And I am your host, Jace Singer-Dumars. If you want to follow along with this meeting after the fact, there are notes and minutes available at bit.ly/Kates110-Burndown. So let's go ahead and get started with the scheduling as we do. This is week number 6 of the 12-week release cycle. So today, and actually this week, marks the 50% mark of the release. The things that are going to start happening now, if you haven't been part of the release team prior, are going to be focused a lot more on trying to ascertain the quality of the base and the branch, and making sure that what we're going to deliver to the Kubernetes community is as defect-free as possible and as well documented and transparent as possible. So those two things have a lot of implications in terms of what the release team will be doing from here forward. In terms of the branch health, we're going to be paying a lot closer attention to CI signal. And part of what we'll be doing there is we will cut the branch that we will basically fast forward to every, I'm not sure how often we fast forward right away, but I think it'll be daily. Caleb, how often do we run the fast forward? Is it daily once the branch is cut?
It's as needed, but every couple days, certainly.
Okay. So yeah, and basically once that branch is cut and we're watching it, we're going to be setting up the testing infrastructure so that we have good signal on how that branch is doing, and paying a close eye on the issues that come in, and making sure that we're catching things as early in the process as we can. 1.8 was held up sort of at the last minute by issues that should have been known earlier and weren't. So in trying to continuously improve the release process, I want to try and keep a really close eye on any black swan issues that might be out there. So if you hear of anything, or if you're in a SIG meeting and somebody raises an issue that seems like it might be release impacting, please for sure surface it to this group, because that'll be tremendously helpful. In terms of the schedule itself, we basically talked about doing a blog post about this time, sort of a forward-looking thing. I don't think, let's see, Ihor is not on. So Natasha,
I can actually speak to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we are going to do one. We are going to do one, but it's actually going to be a little bit later in the process. And it is going to be right around next week, actually. So
okay.
We're going to position it as a, hey, there's betas out there, please help test them. So.
Great. Fantastic. And that'll be a nice alignment because we're going to have a beta release week 7. So beta is typically when people can get a little more serious about building and testing against the new version. So that's good. All right. So just as a reminder, again, in the schedule, we want to keep looking at issues, signal, and we also want to start looking more deeply at release notes, just because in the past, this has been something that we almost cannot start early enough on. And so let's just figure out what we need to do there, if there's anything that isn't being done, and just make sure that those things start getting attention.
I guess that's in my ballpark too. So I have been working on, I can't remember who I spoke to, but we're getting that new label and we're working on the automation process. I've been speaking to Noah, and we're going to actually start working with the intermediate release notes for like the alpha and the beta releases, and start trying to work on getting those things so that we have a more sound foundation by the time kind of things really get into swing. In terms of deadlines, we are going to start pestering the SIGs for their overall themes around, well, not around, but on March 2nd. And we're going to really start nagging them around the 9th. And if you don't have it in by the 14th, you're going to be stuck with whatever we think the answer is. So those are sort of deadlines for all of that.
Okay, great. That is super helpful. And so one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the weekly update this week. I didn't send one out last week because there wasn't really much to say, and I don't want people to basically stop paying attention any more than they already do. But I'll try and radiate some of these deadlines. So I won't hit the docs deadlines yet, but I will talk about code/code freeze, because that's coming up, I think, a lot faster than people actually realize. So, so that's it for this week. And then in terms of the date milestones in place, is there anything from a marketing perspective you want to talk about, Natasha or Caitlin? Okay. I'll assume not.
Oh, no. Sorry, I was on mute.
It's okay.
I was just going to say, we had a really great meeting with Dior last week. We've fleshed out what some of the top line features are going to be. I sent that around. So if you and Caleb can give that a look and just let us know, like, if there's any issues with the outline of the blog, with the 5-day blog series, that would be great. We're going to start doing a first draft, so everybody can start contributing and reviewing, but we just want to take a stab at a first draft. And then I also created a separate document. This is questions that reporters have that we want to answer because we want to be the source of truth, but it doesn't make sense for this information to be put in the actual blog. So I started that document as well. If you guys could also take a look at that and start answering any questions that you're able to. I know some of these may be a little bit early, but that way we could use those to send over to reporters to include in their stories. But again, it doesn't make sense for it to be in the actual blog itself.
Okay. And could you possibly put a link to that in the meeting minutes, or send that to me just so I have it again? I was off site last week, so I'm a little bit behind on some of these things.
Oh no, yes, yeah, happy to do that. And then just in terms of the overall marketing timeline, we are right on track, so that's good.
Cool, great. Okay, so moving along, next week we'll be cutting 1.10 beta. Betas don't follow the same release numerology or number taxonomy. They start at 0. So we'll be doing beta.0. We'll also be creating the release-1.10 branch, which is exciting, and begin the daily fast forward. And we're going to be creating the branch CI jobs. So we'll get some update on that once that's in play. So metrics review looks good. It doesn't look like anything is spiraling out of control. There was an uptick in important issues. That doesn't necessarily mean anything this phase of the release, but it's something that we do want to keep an eye on. Overall count was up 2, which is pretty reasonable. Probably starting about week 9, we want to see these start trending down. And so we'll be curating those a little more closely. SIG testing dashboards looks fine. That'll become more important later. Unfortunately, Josh could not be with us, but he updated a list here of interesting things that he qualified as a list of issues which look suspiciously like untracked features. So we're going to have to figure out what that's all about. This is one of the risks of this process and the features process in general, is that there is no strong referential integrity between the features process and what actually gets put into the release. That is improving, but it's definitely not there. As I have said in the past, whatever's in the release is what's in the release. So we may have designs that end up being one thing or another, but in essence, because we commit to master, what's in there is in there. So we need to basically try and unearth as much information about it as we can, because we don't have controls over it. Moving along, there are various update segments here for folks in the team. I do have a preference. It's not as important right now, but probably starting about week 9, when we start doing 3 times a week, I definitely would love to have the owners of each part of the release updating this document ahead of time with even just a quick blurb about where things are at, so we have something to go on. So right now, branch health is not really, there's not much to say there. Is there anything you want to add, Caleb, about the stuff you're doing?
Nothing, no color to add right now.
Okay, thanks. Testing, Sen, anything you want to add?
Nothing really. I think we fixed our GKE jobs, so now they should be all green. Nothing is broken, I think, right now. Yeah.
Great. Okay, good. That's great. We got an update for marketing already and bugs. Release notes, we got an update on. Okay, that is the scheduled portion of the meeting. I'd like to open the floor if anybody has anything that you'd like to bring up or talk about before we adjourn. All right. If you think of anything that could be going better or you would like to see done differently in 1.11 or beyond, there's a link at the bottom of the release Burndown meeting agenda that has a link to the retro doc. So store your ideas in there as they come up, and that will help make the next release even better. So with that, I leave you all to have the rest of your day, and have a great Monday, and I will talk to you in a week or sooner. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jace.